They say that everything we do online leaves a digital footprint. We're in the world of business. All the workflows you do are expressed as your digital twin. Hello, my name is Jamil Spain, developer advocate with the IBM Cloud. Now, when it comes to defining what your digital twin is, it comes to a process called process mining. Not a process called process mining, but if we want to break that down, process naturally refers to a business function, a particular workflow that you actually do. And the mining naturally means getting some information. If you've probably typed that in a search bar, I'm sure it'll lead you down a rabbit hole straight to a lot of crypto. But we're really talking about something more specific here. And it's all the actions that a business does. They work with different enterprise corporate IT systems, whether it's your SAPs, your Oracles, legacy systems, or any kind of CRM, ERP. That's all the acronyms that I have there. But the goal here is that each system that you use naturally has logs that are generated from the actions that you do inside these systems. Now, when I think about process mining, we're going to put this into context, but let's think for a second what it is not. And something else that's very popular that comes to mind, I can say it's been a buzzword of yet that we all know about, is data mining. So let's take a second to draw some distinction actually between the two. So they both involve, clearly probably make a connection with getting data, but for me, data mining, DM, means really reading a lot of raw data from logs. And I'm really trying to make a pattern there. So I'm looking for the patterns. But that's about where it ends. From there, I have to make a lot of the intelligence or analyze patterns or theories from there about what does it mean? What does all the data mean? What is it really of value does it give me? That's the word I'm looking for, the value that it actually gives me out of there. But when we get to building that digital twin for a business, it's really about two things. It really involves, at the most smallest perspective, it's task mining. And there's really a hierarchy here. I naturally have a process overall. Let's say that process is setting up an account at a bank, or handling a customer service call, or a supplier ordering from a manufacturer. All right, there are many different use cases that come here. So that particular process, let's say that it's setting up a new account. There's different tasks that are associated with that. Well, we can actually get information back as we collectively say each task that's there. Let's say this was a 3-step process. All right, and that collectively equals the process of making an account. So step 1, 2, and 3, I want to get information back on each of those, and that collectively gives me insight to what this process kind of means, and that, i.e., is process mining. But how does this magically occur? All right, let's get a little more into how these particular things occur. So the first is, there's 3 stages that we want to go through. The first is discovery. So I'm going to take actual inventory on everything that's occurring. If it's my actual systems, I want to look at all the log data from these IT systems. And I also want to look at the other steps that happen in between. Maybe me getting that account data, maybe a form that comes in an email, and I may be kind of pasting that email into another system to work with it. All that stuff I want to record, all the interaction that happens. Now, there's actually software that goes on your desktop that's able to record all these actions, and collectively it gives me all the connections that are there. So when I think through this, I have a system, CRM, and it's going to generate some log data. And then I have also what happens at my desktop, and I'm going to do the record to actually get all those actions that are occurring. Now, those collectively, I'm going to do, leads me to my second phase, all right, which is the monitoring. And in the monitoring phase, I'm going to take all these actions that I have, and my goal here is to really find out how do I digitally represent this process that I'm actually going through. Now, this is the actual end-to-end visibility of what's actually occurring. So a lot of times, one of the benefits of process mining, why it is important, is because you actually get to associate actions to a particular workflow. Some of those are happy paths, and some of those can be those ones that take you out in the left field that you spend a lot of time doing. But the most important thing is that you get to actually physically represent this, along with metrics that go along with it to know. The next step is the optimization. Now, in this phase, I'll have the visibility of having a self-service dashboard. And it will give me the ability to oversee this process, get particular metrics that I can really start to understand how am I performing. All right. Another great benefit of this is really where you start to bring in, can really take on the early beginnings, the foundations of automation, what they like to call intelligent automation, where I can use many different types of technology to look at this process that I have, this path, and how can I make each one of those efficient. Now, if you are coming to this brand new, process mining is your path to know where to start first. Naturally, just having a process that you are going through, it may be a little difficult. It will be difficult to know where to start from. So this gives you an entry point and metrics to know when I am getting something, making it very efficient. And the fact that I have access that I'm using with my IT systems, along with the actual raw data of every task that everybody is doing, everyone does in this workflow, it really gives me not only I have the end-to-end visibility, but now I also have the fact-based insights. I no longer get to make assumptions about what's occurring, how long it takes. I have the raw data to back it up, and it gives me decisions to understand why we do things a certain way, why we're going to improve it, why it should be function that way to run. So naturally, you can do a lot of things with, it feels like task mining could work on your own, but having process mining, the overall architecture of what you're trying to improve, along with the individual tasks that are a part of this, along with the systems that you're interacting with, really gives you something powerful. You can really get started to really improve your business. Most importantly, identify weaknesses and parts you can improve on. And really have once you go through your first experience, imagine in an enterprise that you're able to, or startup, either one can work, where you're actually able to model all the actions you do. Maybe from, I know a lot of times we have sales teams, so imagine from having a opportunity call come in to the time to closing the deal. If I'm able to identify all those steps, that gives me places I know, hey, we need to respond back to demo requests faster, or those contact forms, it takes us a long time to actually respond. That data gets lost in a database, does not get to someone fast enough. So again, getting these visibilities, I can have a really composite view of my whole enterprise or my whole functions that all my business does, and really be able to start to, now that I have this kind of closed loop that I can keep reiterating through, now that I have the optimization, I can really go back and discover more, monitor it, improve these paths, and then go back and keep viewing the inputs there to go. Now, again, as I said in closing, that this is really the early starts of getting into intelligent automation, using many different technologies. For instance, if there was a particular task that's done on a desktop, I could deploy something like RPA to do that actual task. If it's maybe putting data into a form for a legacy system, that's something I can get a bot to actually do for me in that place. So this is just the beginning of unraveling the amazing part of building your digital twin, all your processes, having something technically that resembles that, and also being able to optimize that and hereby make things much easier and efficient. If you have any questions, please drop us a line below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe.